Just did an interview with Lindsay, also known as The Faith Feast. We talked about purity, perseverance, and how she became an attorney. I really enjoyed chatting with her. Make sure you click below to see the timestamps so you can get to the questions you want to hear. Leave comments. I'll respond to you. Talk to you later. Welcome to another episode of Millennials in Ministry. I'm your host, Erin Lashley, and I'm with Lindsay, also known as The Faith Feast. And today I'm excited to talk to her about her blog, her journey on becoming an attorney, and just chat with her. She's a lot of wisdom on life. And Lindsay, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you for being with us.
Oh my gosh, it's truly my pleasure. So I'm really excited to see what you have to ask me. I'm so
First, I want to ask you a little bit about you. I'm curious, like what's your story growing up, your family, did you always grow up in a Christian home? Like what's your background?
Okay, so was raised in a Christian home. My mom's grandfather was actually a pastor. Both of my parents grew up in deep South Mississippi, so like church is what we do. So I'm an Army brat though, so church for us looked a little bit different because we popped around to a bunch of different churches as we moved around the country. But I mean, our home always stayed the same. Like even when I was like not really saved, my mom would say, "Lindsay, are you saved?" And I'd be like, "Almost, girl, almost." I knew I was like, at some point I'm gonna have to come around because I know what truth is. So yeah, mom and dad both from Mississippi. My sister, I have an older sister. She's 3.5 years older than I am. She lives out in California. She's married to an incredible brother-in-law who I love and adore. He's the best. Yeah, my dad was in the military, moved around a lot. We settled down in Georgia, and I guess you asked about my Christian background. I got saved, I guess, like the first time at 13, and then I went to college, and,
Got you.
Yeah.
Did the college thing.
Holla at you after graduation. And then when I got up to Chicago was when I really felt like I gave my life to Christ, like for real, for real.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I follow your sister and your brother-in-law on Instagram, by the way. I absolutely love both of them. They're great.
Honestly, I was just on the phone with both of them. They weren't even talking.
Were you?
Why am I on the phone with you? But also, they're good people.
That sounds like what my sister does. And for the audience, just so you know, I know Lindsay because of my sister, because when they lived in Chicago, Erica and Stefan went to Soul City Church, and she told me I had to meet Lindsay. I had to meet you. I had to meet you because of all the wonderful things that you're doing online. And you recently became an attorney. At the time, you were on your journey to becoming one, which we'll get into that in a little bit. But I'm so excited to be talking to you and thankful for my sister to connecting us. But that's really cool.
About you. She was like,
really?
Yeah, she's like, you have to meet my sister. You're going to love her. And I was like, well, duh. Like, I love you. Of course. And I was like, okay, this is too much goodness all in one.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely love meeting you. So, Lindsay, tell me about the Faith Feast blog. Like, what inspired that? Why do you call it the Faith Feast? What is that about? Tell me.
How much time do we have? Okay, so I was up here. I moved up here in May of 2015 to start law school. I was also dating a young man at the time that I was very serious with. We broke up when I got up here. He already lived up here. We broke up, and that was obviously unbelievably challenging. Like, I mean, It was rough those first couple months. But when I got home because we broke up right after my finals, I get home, and I'm all like, Mom, Dad, like, everything's falling apart. My mom's like, get a grip. My dad's like, it kind of is falling apart, so let's try to, So my mom and I actually were watching War Room with Priscilla Shire, and I really sat down and I was like, all right, God, I've dated your way, or I've dated my way. I've dated the world's way. I've dated all different types of way, and I just feel like I've reached the end of my rope. Like, I'm not right. Like, the things that he had a problem with were right. You know what I mean? Like, there were a lot of stuff coming up in me where I was like, I'm a legit mess, not like I'm broke Jesus mess. I was a mess. Right. And I was reading my Bible one day, which was the first time I'd ever really read it ever. Like, and I was reading and I said out loud, I was like, oh man, I just love to feast on your word. And I didn't think anything of it. I wrote it down in my journal and I just like kept going. I get back to school. And I have more time on my hands because I'm single now. So I'm baking like I always do when I'm cooking. And I'm like, I'm really hearing God speak to me while I'm cooking. And I'm like, this is so odd. Like the words are coming through like crystal clear. And I'm like, there's something about me in the kitchen that God is trying to like connect with me. And I'm guessing it's the one I'm slowing down. like, where I'm like actually focused and still and present. Because you gotta
Yeah.
some stuff. I'm a Southern cook. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be on food.
Right.
So I started to write up like little emails about what God would say and relate it to food. And I would send it to some of my friends, and they were like, "You need to start a blog. You need to start a blog." And I was like, ah. And I was like, "What would I call it?" And the Lord was like, "It's a feast." And I was like, "Not my idea. I'm not that creative." I was like, "Okay." So from that point on, I kind of went on my mission to write about food and faith, and it has since evolved to where like I'm not even really sure what the food aspect of it is, to be perfectly honest with you right now. Like, I don't really have time to cook the way I did then. So it's a little bit more of like transitional cooking, like, oh, I have to leave. Here's a hot dog like I had today. But it has become this incredible community. And I feel like it's exactly what I need. And it's fun, other people need it too. It's just a space where you kind of get to just like, hey, Jasmine, it's a space where you just get to like be yourself and kind of wrestle with stuff, because I just started reading the Bible. So people are like, how long you been saved? I'm like 4 minutes, like literally anything. But I'm trying. I hope that translates, that I'm genuinely trying. I'm seeking God out as best as I can, and it's a feast every time. So that's kind of, I hope that that's the faith feast.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And that's really interesting. Like, that's one of the questions I wanted to ask you too. Myself included, I'm also a single woman, want to be married. I'm not in that yet. But I want to ask you, what do you feel like you've learned from then until now, like some things in your journey of being a godly single woman, some words of advice?
Purity is everything. Purity is good for your sanity. It's good for your health. It's good for your joy. It's good for your peace. Like when you're not practicing abstinence, or even just like guarding your boundaries, like on whatever spectrum it is, like you're mucking up your discernment. And I say that from experience, like, please God, don't let my mom hear this, but it's like you don't think the same. And I learned this in college when I studied that kind of stuff. I actually studied like human sexuality, about what happens to your brain when you experience these types of things. Like, you bond with people you weren't meant to bond with. Like, the concept of is not just spiritual, it's biological. And I know that that's a hard thing for us to hear, because it's 2018 and everybody trying to get it in and live their best lives. That is not your best life, friend. That's not your best life. I promise you. Like, that was like one of the hardest but best decisions I ever made, just to say like, this, who I am in this capacity is completely sacred and holy, and it's God's territory. And I feel like, even though I've had some challenges and I haven't made all the best dating decisions, I feel like since then I've at least been able to recover quicker. I've been able to like past it faster, or at least see like, oh yeah, I should have caught that, rather than like that mental, if you've been in my shoes before, that mental breakdown that your brain melts and you're like, but I don't love him, girl. Your brain lying to you.
You think you do, but you don't.
Oh, and he don't love you, because if he loved you, he would honor you. Anyways, another thing I would say I've learned is like, there's this book called Love and Respect, and I read that, and it talks about like how like women need love, men need respect, and what men consider as like disrespect. And I was like, whoops. Like, I realized that I'm very disrespectful to men, and I didn't think that. Like, I'm so
in what ways?
Oh, just a little bit of a tone thing, or like I mean, for you, like, I grew up in a household where they were like, you can do anything, and I can, but just because I can doesn't mean I should. And I had to learn that the hard way, that there's a time to just like, and I watched my sister do it amazingly well with her husband, and I used to be like, do you just do it? And she'd be like, it's not my time to do it, I have to let him process this and work through that. So I learned a lot about how I treat people, honestly. What else have I learned? That if Jesus ain't in it, bounce.
Yeah.
What else have I learned? I don't know. I think that's probably, I mean, I've learned more, but that's all I have right now.
Yeah. No, that's really good. I was thinking about that the other day with my friend Jordan. I went to an event with her, and we were talking about purity as well. And I said, it's so interesting, like when you're single and you're trying to live pure, it's so funny how you have to set up those boundaries, set those things to watch what's coming in and what you're listening to and what you watch and what you hear. But I told her, and tell me what you think about this, but it's so interesting, like, I hear a lot of people say that about their single years, but why is it that the flip turns off like once you're married? Like,
Mm.
why do I not have to then watch what I hear, see, listen to when I'm married? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's a really good question. I feel like because maybe it's from the perspective of like, because I know I'm careful with that. Like, if it's something is like
yeah,
a highly sexual show, that's my cue
yeah,
because I'm not doing nothing. Like, this is
yeah.
no. But I think that maybe when you're married, you can actually act on those things. So like
Yeah,
your triggers don't lead you. Maybe I don't know. Maybe necessarily like
sure.
and like I'm not
Right.
sure, but I do think that you have to
Yeah.
guard your gates. And like one thing I always tell people is like you have to decide before you're in a situation that how you're gonna be.
Yeah.
I think Brene Brown
Yeah.
talked about having your value set like prior to,
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
if you're kind of like, yeah, Liz, I hear you, I'm gonna try it, and then he's fine and he's coming over, game over. I don't let people over. You cannot come to my house because and neither can you. Meet me around the corner. We're gonna grab a Coca-Cola and live our best lives. Like we're not doing that. You have to
Oh.
be honest with yourself. Like there are certain times I've been like, you know what, I absolutely can't handle it, and I was right. And there are other times where I'm like, I can handle it. No, you gotta go. You gotta go. And not being afraid of saying like you gotta go, because there was definitely a season when I was more so in that like I'm not really sure what I think I'm gonna try it, and I didn't have those clear solid boundaries of this is where I draw the line, and I wasn't able to stick with it, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that's really, really good, Linz.
I don't know where this came from because my mama, oh, she gonna be mad.
No, Lindsay, like becoming an attorney has been a huge part of your journey too. And I want to know, have you always wanted to be one? When did that desire start for you?
I'm
And
not,
why did you decide that that's what you wanted to do?
well, I'm not sure I've reached the point where it's what I want to do. No, I'm kidding. So let's see. I was working for the Heart Association, doing fundraising. I don't know if you've ever heard of Jump Rope for Heart. It's like
Uh-uh.
it's a fundraiser for kids in schools, and you just teach them how to be healthy. It was amazing. But I wanted to do
Mhm.
something a little bit more advocacy driven. So I was kind of talking with my dad, and he was like, I mean, you could do public policy or you could just go to law school. And then I kind of had like an L Woods, whatever moment, like what? Like it's hard? It is hard.
Yeah.
But I like took an LSAT class and then I like passed it, and I wanted to move up here anyways. Like I
Wow.
said, I was dating that guy. I'd always loved Chicago, and I was like, I want to come.
Yeah.
Then I only got into schools up here. 4 schools, 3 of them offered me $90,000 worth of scholarships each.
Whoa.
Okay, and I was like, at this point, I was moving towards God, so I was like,
Yeah.
this is you. Like, I think this is you, and I'm just gonna roll with it. But anyways, I went
Yeah.
to law school with the idea of doing some type of nonprofit law, some type of advocacy work, and I started, and I was like, oh no, this is not, it's too heavy. Like I'm a sensitive person. I cry a lot. I watch rom-coms every single night. I cannot, and I will do that.
Okay,
I don't know where.
pause. I now know why you are my sister's friend. Oh no.
Mm-mm. I'm like, I feel stuff so deeply. Like I'm making a joke out of it, but like in all seriousness, like
Yeah.
working with people who can't get the medicines they need for their kid because the system is so
Mhm.
clogged. Like I was going home so heavy, and I was just like, Lord, we're gonna have to find another way for me to
Yeah.
do this because my heart can't take it. And then I got all discouraged in the middle of law school, and I was like, well, then why am I here? What am I gonna do? And I would
Yeah.
pray, God, I prayed so hard, Jesus, let me quit. And he'd be like, nope.
Mm.
I heard that
Wow.
no clear. That was like that
Yeah.
angel and no. You know what I mean? It was like a boom. So I was like, fine, I'll ride it out. But I'm not gonna, I was like, I'm not even gonna study. I didn't study for a little while. My mom got really mad. But it's like I made it out all right. And then I finally figured out that I noticed I was super into my dad's small business and my sister's small business, and I had this like weird
Mm.
obsession with startups, and I was like,
Yeah.
hi love, hi passion, I've been looking for you. So I fell in love with the startup life, and I now work at a small firm. I'm a law clerk there, so we're praying that I would get a promotion to be an associate attorney soon. And I
That's
absolutely
awesome.
work. Yeah, I love it. But the journey, I didn't really get into that. That was just a lot.
Yeah. What do you feel like it taught you,
Oh,
that whole process?
perseverance. Like it taught
Mhm.
me perseverance. It taught me how to trust God. There were times like we had to do these things called oral arguments, where you like stand up in front of like 3 like low key pretend judges, but maybe not pretend. I don't remember, and like
Yeah.
speak and like basically like argue like you're in court. And I do not want to do that.
Yeah.
And the Lord led me to a scripture. It was in the I think it was in Acts, where Peter starts speaking, and they were like astonished by him, because they're like, this common man speaking so well. I practiced twice for that thing. My peers practiced 12 times. I got up there, I start talking, I finished, I'm looking at my professor, and she goes, you are exponentially better than you were in practice. And it was God. Like, it was really God. Like, he was trying to tell me, if like, I'm gonna have to drag you through this, but we gonna do it. So I like, girl, there were finals I took where I was like, just let it be so, Jesus, whatever it is. And he just took care of me. Like, he took care of me every single way. Like, my bar prep class paid for it. Like, all sorts of things. There was just, my professors loved me. I wasn't even paying attention.
Wow.
They loved, like, it was just favor. So I learned that the favor of the Lord is real. I learned how to persevere. What else did I learn? That sometimes you just have to do what you don't want to do to get where you need to go, even if you don't know where you like, you just need to stop complaining and do it. Oh, I gotta call my mom and say sorry for, not listening to her. And it also taught me to see things from a lot of different perspectives, because that's part of what we do. My job is to hear what you're saying and hear what you're not saying all the time, which can be dating a little bit challenging, because I'm always like, ooh, you left out part of that story, and now I know it because I'm all intuitive, and also maybe it's spirit. No, I'm just judging. It's not. But that really taught me a lot about seeing different, and it made me a more open-minded person, because I could see things from a different perspective of like, oh, that's why you think that way. Because we read opinions, and then we read the dissent. So we read like what said what they liked and what they said they didn't like. So yeah.
Wow. So what's the future look like for you? Like, what do you think that you like, what is your, like, your ultimate big dream heart goal 10 years from now?
10 year big dream heart goal 10 years from now.
And it could be like attorney related or just like faith feast related. I don't know. What's in your heart?
Well, it's funny you say that, because I would imagine it would be both. That I would be an attorney working with small businesses and really just helping them grow and protecting them. Because a lot of times, like, even just, I've been at my job a month, and I'm like, you didn't do that before you hired them? Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, so hard. Like, I want to protect people from themselves. Like, I'm here to help. I love that part of my job, that I'm just like, I can help you avoid really big problems. And for the Faith Feast, I hope it grow. Like, I'm trying to grow the community, which requires me to move out of the way. I'm not a control freak. I'm not type A at all. It's like,
not it.
No, not at all. I actually had someone walk up to me recently and be like, so you're a little type A? And I was like, I don't even know you. Like, how can you? Anyway, so I imagine that I will have like a team of incredible women that are pouring in to the women that have joined me on this journey, because I think that my voice is valuable, but I think so is everyone else's. And I've got a lot to say, but so do other people. And I don't ever want to limit what other people can receive, like the Samantha who just joined me, she's in Reno. She's a newlywed. Like, she's completely different than I am. I was like, you're perfect. You're absolutely perfect, because you're going to bring a completely different perspective. So my hope is that we'll continue to do different events, maybe partner with Aaron and Erica. I'm just saying.
Hello, we're doing it, girl.
My goals,
Yes.
Yes. So I'm hoping
all about it.
Yeah, that we expand in that capacity. And then eventually I'd like to roll out with some like helpful tools. Just to, because I know people ask me a lot of questions like, well, how did you study the Bible when you didn't know it? And now I'm trying to like backtrack and create things like that to help people, because it is overwhelming at times. Like, it was for me.
Sure.
Like, I was like, how am I in law school but don't understand this? Like, I'm be smart. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know this at all. So that's, I don't know what that looks like, but every day I surrender the Faith Feast back to God. Every day. Because I grab it every night. And I'm like, this is mine. And he's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, you have no fun, Lord.
Speaking of them, I gotta say hi to Fabi, Erica, my mom's aunt, all these other people, Elizabeth. Thank you guys for joining us and saying hi and laughing with me with Lindsay, because she's so Girl, you're funny. You could have your own talk show one day. I totally could see that.
If you met my mom, you would understand so much about me. She's a riot.
I feel the same way about my mom. One day you're gonna meet my mom too.
I met your mom, and I literally think I
Have you?
my love for her, which is so embarrassing. I love you. What's your name? Like,
Yeah, right.
she's the best.
Well, Lindsay, so this is the last question I always like to ask all of my guests
Yeah.
because it's called Millennials in Ministry. And as I'm developing this podcast, I'm realizing that ministry doesn't just mean church. It means whatever you set your hand to do, wherever you are, in whatever community you are in. So I always like to ask my guests, what's one piece of advice you would give to other millennials who are wanting to make an impact in their community?
It only can be one.
Well, if you're struggling, you can say 3.
Be yourself. That's what people always tell me, which is risky. As you can see, you just never know what I'm gonna say. I don't really know either till after. Gotta be yourself, because my pastors Jeannie and Jarrett, we were actually talking about this Sunday. They were like, if you're not yourself, people can tell. Like, people can see right through. And I know everybody has those moments where you're like, I gotta be my best self, and like, that's cool, but like, make sure you're still true to you.
Right.
Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. I think it's really tempting to look at other people. Like Elizabeth, for example, is like a phenomenal speaker. Like, I mean, the woman is just captivating. And I'm like, I want to be a speaker like her. I'm not going to be a speaker like her. Like, I'm silly and goofy, and like, I'm going to probably forget what I'm supposed to say. But like, that doesn't take away from how I do it, and it doesn't take away from how she does it. Like, let preach the house down. Let me do my like comedy special type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me see if I have one more. Wait on God. Whoo, child. Let me preach for a second. As someone who is actively impatient, who thrives on execution and seeing something complete, read my newsletters, girl, the typos everywhere. Just wait down, like, wait on God. Like, there's so many ideas that I've had that I'm like, I want to start today. And God's like, but the ground isn't ready yet. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta certain things that I have to deal with in me before I get to talk. Like, notice I don't talk about dating like ever. Like, literally, like, don't nobody know what is, because it's not something I'm ready to talk about, because I haven't really fully processed a lot of my dating experiences. Some of them traumatic, like, let's being honest, like, some of them confusing, some of them not godly, some of them I thought were godly. Like, there's certain things in that capacity I'm not ready to discuss, and I don't let people press me into that, because I've had people be like, you need to talk about this. No, you need to not tell me what to talk about.
How about that?
Now that, homeboy. Okay, sorry. But I think you got to wait on God, and you got to do what God wants you to do. Like, I've written absolutely 100% from myself, and nobody likes it. I write what God writes. I'll be like, I don't know what this is. People are like, Linz, oh, what a word. So you have to stay true to God. You have to stay true to yourself. You got to be patient. And yeah, that's it. And eat good food.
That's good.
Nourish your soul.
Yes. With seasoning food.
All this. Oh my gosh. Okay. Go to Trader Joe's, everyone, and get the onion salt. I don't know what it is about Trader Joe's onion salt, but put it on your.
Really?
Yes. It's so good to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me in my head. It's so good. So good.
I bet you it is good. Trader Joe's is a store.
Look here.
Nothing. We root for Trader Joe's.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Well, Lindsay, I'm so thankful for your time and being on the show. If people want to stay in touch with you, follow you, support you on your journey, what's the best way to connect with you online?
Instagram, for sure. I update the blog when I have time, but I'm like always lurking on Instagram. It's at The Faith Feast. Send me a prayer request. My new team, 2 of us, we would love to pray for you. We would love to do anything we can for you. If you have a request, or if you're just curious about the different tools I use to keep my prayer life up, my Bible study up, I'd be happy to share that. But at The Faith Feast is perfect.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Linz. It was great chatting with you, and I will talk with you very soon.
Yes, love you. Bye.
Bye.